3 kids, 1 broke dad. Today we're shopping at the Dollar Tree. A lot of people were upset in one of my videos because I call myself a broke dad. What should I say instead? A dad on a strict budget with 3 colleges to pay for and a ton of student debt? My daughter thought it was a good idea to paint all her bows with toothpaste right before school pictures, so now I'm here buying new ones. Can someone please remind me to always grab a cart? Because for some reason I never do and it always turns out the same. Today I picked up some hair detangler, some accessories, a new hair teaser because I used the other one as a sword and broke it in half. As always, I got way too much stuff and made it through by bribing them with cookies. I'm trying out a new hairstyle today, so don't tear me up too bad in the comments.
Here we are again, another day, another TikTok scandal, but this one hits differently. It is not just petty influencer beef or someone faking a skincare routine for views. No, this one's about family, about parenthood, about clout chasing at the expense of kids. And leading the charge, a TikTok mom known as Your Mom, who's not pulling any punches when it comes to calling out a man named Chris, better known as the solo dad. But before we jump into whether Chris deserves this dragging or if your mom is doing the most, let's rewind. Because if what she's saying is true, this might just be one of the most disturbing TikTok parenting exposés yet. Your mom isn't new to this. She's been in the trenches, bruised by the struggle of real single motherhood. For the first 18 months of her son's life, she carried the entire weight. No co-parent, no emotional support, no backup plan, just her. How to be everything for the baby. Every diaper change, every midnight fever, every grocery run on a tight budget, it was her. That kind of survival doesn't leave you untouched. It sharpens your instincts.
I have kept my mouth shut about this for over a year. Like, I have some videos that are in my drafts about this creator. When they started pissing me off, seeing their videos pop on my For You page literally a year ago, and I never posted them because I'm not one to call out other creators. I didn't want to get involved in any drama, legal things, like I don't know. But regardless, it has come to a point where I'm like, somebody needs to talk about this. So consider this part 1. The reason why this person originally came on my For You page is because, as a lot of you know, I was a solo parent for the first 18 months of my son's life. Definition of a solo parent, let's start there. I was solo, which means alone, doing it by myself with zero help, zero financial help, zero support, zero emotional support, nothing, like zero help from my son's biological father. That means I was the sole parent, which is what solo parent means. So I see this guy's video pop up on my For You page, Chris the solo dad, and I think to myself, oh my gosh, like I'm not the only parent out there doing it alone. From what his content showed, he had 2 or 3 kids, was solo, doing it alone, showing that he was a healthcare worker. So he worked 3 13-hour shifts. And during those shifts, his mom or a sitter would watch the children, and he would go straight from work, straight home to watch the kids. His content was so deceptive. And you can see so many videos, comments, Reddit threads about this fact. Like, it is a proven fact. He is deceiving his followers. Imagine my surprise when I find out that this man is not only married, has a full partner, his wife, who not only fully is involved in parenting and raising his children under the same roof as him, but also works full-time and gives a full-time income to their family. He considers himself a solo parent simply because he works an opposite shift of his wife. So because he takes care of his children while his wife is at work, which by the way is exactly what she does while he's at work, suddenly now he's a solo parent. So this already rubbed me the wrong way. I was like, this guy, like, you've got to be joking me. Like, the fact that he is calling himself a solo parent is a slap in the face to us actual solo parents doing it alone without help. Like, not only do you have the help of your wife, you have her financial support, her second income, her emotional support. Like, you're not a solo parent. If something happens and you can text or call your child's other parent and have them in an emergency come help, have them rush home. If you're sick, they stay home with the children and they help. You're not a solo parent. You're not doing it alone, because even though there are times when you watch your children alone, which any parent does, millions and millions of mothers every single day watch their children while their husband goes to work. Does that make them solo parents? No, it doesn't.
So, when she came across Chris's content, this seemingly exhausted, overworked dad of 3, showing himself juggling, cleaning, cooking, night shifts, and parenting, she did not just scroll, she paused. She saw herself, or at least she thought she did. At first glance, Chris looked like the male version of her own journey. Hashtag solo dad. Dad of the year vibes, wiping countertops with one hand and packing school lunches with the other, tucking kids in, then heading off to a 13-hour graveyard shift. It was relatable until it wasn't. The more she watched, the more cracks started to show. Something felt off. There were too many gaps, too many convenient edits, too much silence where truth should have been. And then when she realized Chris isn't alone at all. According to your mom, Chris has a wife, not just someone on paper, but a real present, supportive spouse who pulls just as much weight in raising these kids. She takes the night shift while Chris works, which means they've split the responsibilities down in the middle, like many working families do. So why all the solo dad theatrics?
So this man purposely has never shown his wife in a single video on his page as well, which also is very deceptive because he wants to continue to run with a narrative that he's a single dad, solo dad, doing it alone, has no help, has no support, blah, 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 which none of that is true. He is simply a dad who works an opposite shift as his wife. That doesn't make you a solo parent. And he even says like, oh, well, I never said I was a single dad. I said solo dad, not single dad. Clearly you don't know the meaning of a solo dad because that is not a solo parent. You are simply a parent to your children. Like bare minimum, literally bare minimum. And the fact that he also doesn't address it and he has a lot of keywords blocked out. Like if you type wife or you type partner in his comment section, the comments filtered. Like he does it on purpose because he loves the fact that people don't know and that they continue to run with that narrative. He's never cleared the air. He's never cleared it up. The one time that he was asked about it, he simply said, oh, well, she doesn't like to be on camera. She doesn't like to be filmed. Sure she doesn't. My second part of the beef that I have with this man is the way that he exploits his children for money. When it's little Ren and her mother, everyone's so quick to say like, oh, kids aren't content, that's exploitation, like protect your kids. But suddenly when it's this dad doing the exact same thing, by the way, he shows his daughters in their swimsuits, in their diapers, getting changed, when they've thrown up on the floor, all of these like very intimate moments, by the way. He'll do these daily vlogs, show the inside of their home, show all of these things and absolutely exploit his children. Like, actually pisses me off how nobody has called him out on that. There's not a single comment. Maybe he has them filtered or deleted, I don't know. But there's not a single comment on there saying that, like, kids aren't content. Like, stop exploiting your kids. Stop showing your kids online to your 1.8 million followers. Like, that is not okay. On TikTok, he has about 740,000. On Instagram, he's got like 650,000. And then also on YouTube, he has like 500,000. Kids aren't content.
She wasn't just annoyed, she was furious because to her, this wasn't just exaggeration. It was a slap in the face to every parent out there truly doing it solo. She felt he was using the sympathy reserved for the unsupported to build an empire of likes, comments, and donation, all while quietly clocking out and handing the parenting baton to his wife each night. That's not solo, that is staged. So when she finally spoke out, it wasn't out of spite. It was out of frustration because she'd lived the reality Chris was pretending to suffer through, and she knew the difference between performance and pain. Your mom did not name names at first. Instead, she did what any calculated creator does. She dropped a subtle, simmering video that was part shade, part sermon. In it, she called out a rising trend on TikTok, creators pretending to be broke just to collect sympathy donations. And not just broke with kids, broke with groceries, broke with bills, broke with every emotional string pulled, just enough to make views open their wallets. She laid it out clearly. She compared what smaller creators like her make, which, spoiler alert, isn't much, to what these supposedly struggling creators are pulling in while faking the hustle. She held nothing back. Her tone heated, hot, honest. She pointed out that some of these people, despite crying poor online, are probably raking in thousands each month, maybe even more. And that performative poverty, that cosplay of suffering, is not just misleading, it is mocking those who are actually struggling.
And last but not least, the fact that this guy has 1.8 million followers. Like, I don't know if you can grasp how much that is, but this man makes beyond a full-time income from social media. The fact that he has this level of following and he is still trying to cosplay as low income or poor, or come thrifting with me as a poor dad of 3, or I can't afford to buy my kids clothes, so let's go thrift and see what we can find, or I only have $14 to spend on my children's dinner, like let's see if I can buy them all dinner. It is all so fabricated that it's not even funny. And people just see his videos on their For You page and find him that way. So of course they don't know. They see that, like the comments, the way they're filled with people being like, do you have an Amazon wish list? Like, can I buy your kids a coat? Like things like this, where they're like, let me send you, I'll Venmo you $50 to buy your kids dinner. Like people who have much less themselves. Like, it is honestly so disgusting and so dystopian, the fact that this man who makes over 6 figures on social media, makes probably over 6 figures at his full-time job, and then his wife makes over 6 figures probably at her full-time medical job. Like, they have essentially 3 full-time incomes to provide for their family, and yet they're still here panhandling to the masses, to people who are actually low income. people who actually can't afford groceries right now in America. Like, it's actually pissing me off. If you follow this creator, if you feel bad for this creator, if he's your comfort creator, I'm sorry, but you are part of the problem. Take a look in the mirror and look at your priorities and realize that you are supporting a man who has done nothing but deceive his followers, exploit his children, and honestly, like, it is getting to the point where, like, we need an expose. He needs to be canceled. This needs to be aired out. We need a 5-part documentary series because creators like this cannot keep getting away with it. Honestly, like, it's getting to a point where every time I see somebody like this on my For You page, like, if you have over 100,000 followers, you are not low income. You are not struggling. The money you make on social media alone pays your rent. It can buy cartfuls and cartfuls of groceries for your family. Like, quit acting like you are on the struggle bus and that you need people to donate to a GoFundMe. Take advantage of a narrative like this and to act like you are struggling and that you are in need when you are clearly not. Like, you have everything you need and more. Honestly, it is so deceptive. It is disgusting. I don't respect you as a human being. You are the worst kind of person, and it is nothing but disrespectful and a slap in the face to people who are actually struggling.
And her audience, oh, they felt it. They started stitching her video, debating, dissecting. The comment sections were wild, speculations flying left and right. Some thought she meant other moms, others guessed influencers known for their broke life vlogs. But the sharper ones, they zoomed in on the clues, the style, the timing, the language, and they guessed right. But your mom did not confirm it, not just yet. She let the tension build like a well-placed cliffhanger. Because the truth bomb she was about to drop next, it deserved its own moment. Soon after, your mom dropped the bomb. The person behind the subtle shade, the creator cosplaying as broke and overworked, was none other than Chris, the man TikTok knows as the devoted solo father of 3. And not just any solo dad, his brand was built around it. His entire content strategy revolved around that identity. The loving, exhausted, endlessly responsible father doing it all on his own. He posts hard-tagging clips of himself folding laundry, cooking late night meals, packing school bags, all while lamenting how hard it is doing life solo. But then came the twist that turned sympathy into suspicion. According to your mom, and she was adamant about this, Chris is not alone. Not emotionally, not physically, not even logistically. The man is married, happily, functionally, actively married. His wife might not be front and center on TikTok, but she's not just a background character. She is a co-parent, a full participant in the house and in their children's lives. While Chris works night shifts, often referenced in his videos as part of the grind, his wife is home feeding, bathing, comforting, and tucking their children. She's the night shift parent, holding down the fort while Chris racks up views. So why the silence? Why the omission? Why the illusion of isolation? Chris never mentions her. Not a name, not a glimpse, not even a reference. His followers don't know she exists, and he makes no effort to correct that. He leaves his comment sections intentionally vague, dodging questions about support, sidestepping any implication of partnerships. To the outside world, he's a dad who gets home from a long shift and still manages to do everything for 3 kids with no one in his corner. But according to your mom, that portrayal is not just misleading, it is manipulative. Because while Chris is clocking in for sympathy points, his wife is clocking in for real every single night, doing her part. And pretending otherwise, that is not storytelling, that is deception, packed in soft lighting and sad music, and sold to an audience that believes they are watching a hero. In reality, they may just be watching a performance. Here's where it starts to feel strategic, almost choreographed. According to your mom, Chris doesn't just ignore his wife's existence in passing. He's actively erasing her from the narrative. She claims that he's gone as far as blocking keywords like wife, partner, and spouse from his TikTok comments. So if anyone drops a comment asking where is the mom or do you have a partner, poof, that comment never sees the light of day. And when followers assume he's a single dad, Chris doesn't correct them. He doesn't say, hey, I'm not single, just solo during the day. He doesn't clarify or educate. He lets the assumptions hang in the air like a carefully staged prop, because each one earns him another boost of pride, another sympathetic DM, another donation. What makes it worse is the deflection. Chris brings his mother into the frame, literally. In several videos, he talks about how she helps out with the kids while he's at work, but again, no mention of his wife. The story is clear. He's struggling, unsupported, and surviving on scraps of help from his aging mother. It paints a calculated cinematic picture, one that earns hearts and shame. But what it really is, according to your mom, is fiction. A role he's playing, a script he's following, and by writing his wife out of the story entirely, he's not just misleading his followers, he's disrespecting the very person holding the household together during his absence. It is not just what he says, it is what he deliberately leaves out. And that silence it is loud enough to be called a lie. Chris plays the broke card well, really well. In one video, he says he only has $9 to feed his kids. In another, he talks about feeding them on a broke dad budget under $10. Then, he made a whole video about pulling his kids out of a daycare to save money.
I only have $14. Let's see what I can feed my family for dinner. This time we're gonna try out to eat edition. Chipotle has raised their prices a lot. All right, let's see how this goes. I heard they'll give you more food if you record them. I think this is the first time I've ever been here with no line. Hi, can I get a rice bowl, chicken, white rice? And can I get an extra bowl of just lettuce? Can I also get one tortilla? Yeah, on the side, thank you. I'll take a little bit more if you got. 2 scoops of corn salsa. The key is to get everything on the side. A pico de gallo on the side, sour cream on the side, $12.67. Thank you. So the total with tax is $12.67. Honestly, we have so much money left over. We're gonna go get dessert. Wow, they raised the prices up in this place. This place got expensive. Can I get a large chocolate frosty? Thank you. You too.
No, like this.
3 meals made and I still have all of this. Only thing I forgot was to get some to-go hot sauce. And I got enough for leftovers.
But here's what your mom claims. Chris isn't broke. He works full-time. His wife does too. And with the views he gets on TikTok, she speculates he may be pulling in up to $50,000 a month. So this whole narrative of poverty, according to her, is just a gimmick, a grift for sympathy donations. This is the part that really hit a nerve. Your mom urges that Chris is using his kids as props, that this whole account thrives on views, feeling bad for him and by extension his kids. He shows them in vulnerable moments, talks about how hard life is, all while knowing fully well that he's got a partner at home helping behind the scenes. She says children are not content, and if you're going to put them on the internet, at least don't do it under a false pretense. Chris isn't just facing backlash on TikTok. Reddit's been on his case too. Users have questioned his solo parent narrative for months. Posts call him out for manipulating the truth, for baiting followers with poverty claims, and for building a brand on a lie. And yet, he remains silent. No full response, no clarification, just a caption in one video saying, just because people post 1-minute videos on the internet doesn't mean you know everything about their personal lives. Chris says he's a solo parent, not a single parent. But here's where things get murky, because words matter. In the world of parenting, these labels aren't just casual phrases, they carry weight. They describe very different realities. A single parent is someone who may or may not be receiving help from the other biological parent, but they are legally or romantically unattached. They may co-parent, they may not. They may get child support, they may do it all alone. The time is flexible. But solo parenting is a much heavier label. It is not just about relationship status, it is about responsibility. Solo parenting means you are the only one in the trenches. No tag teaming, no other parent taking night shifts, no financial help, no emotional support, no shared grocery lists or bedtimes. It is used to describe someone doing it truly alone, often because the other parent is entirely out of the picture. Think military deployments, think an abandonment, think death. So let's go back to Chris. If his wife is at home every night while he's at work, feeding, cleaning, cuddling the kids to sleep, then no, he's not solo. He's not doing it all by himself. He's in a partnership, even if it's invisible to his followers. And here's where it gets even slippery, because while Chris never outright says he's a single dad, he chooses to brand himself as a solo one. Why? Because it evokes sympathy. It triggers a protective response from viewers who want to support someone struggling alone. And when that label is knowingly misused, when the person wearing it knows people are misinterpreting it and still lets it fly, that is not just misleading, it is exploitation wrapped semantics. Your mom's point wasn't about nitpicking labels, it was about truth. And Chris, by clinging to a hotel that doesn't fit, is painting a picture that's simply not real. And in a space where truth is already hard to come by, that kind of misinterpretation hits differently, especially when kids are involved. Let's talk about his wife. Where is she in all of this? According to Chris, she doesn't like being on camera. Fair, but that's no excuse for pretending she doesn't exist. He could say, hey, I have a partner, she's just private. Boom. Problem solved, but he doesn't, and that silence, it speaks volumes. By not addressing her, he lets people assume she abandoned the family. He allows the narrative that he's doing it all alone to flourish, and with it, the sympathy and engagement. Now, we come to the big question. Is Chris a bad dad? Not necessarily. From what we see, he takes good care of his kids. But is he manipulative? According to your mom, absolutely. And honestly, she makes a strong case. The problem isn't the parenting, it is the deception, the way he misleads his audience to gain the support, the way he silences questions, the way he builds a brand of a lie using his kids as bait. And what's worse, the way people believe him, the way they donate, the way they praise him for doing something millions of parents do every day, with no recognition, no sympathy, no cash app linked to their bios. So, is your mom being dramatic? Maybe. But is she wrong? Not really. And maybe it's time we start asking more from creators, like honesty, transparency, and maybe, just maybe, stop turning parenthood into a performance. Like and subscribe if you want more real talk. And if you're still unsure about this whole solo dad thing, go check the comments. They've been trying to tell us for a while now.